Let's jump into some Warriors news and rumors, and potentially a positive spin here for Kelly Oubre Jr. here, Harrison Graham and Chase Sr. No surgery for Oubre. That wrist, they're going to be able to go without surgery. Just got to rest it up. It looks like there's some ligament damage, and I had to look this up. A small avulsion fracture, Chase. Basically, that's when a bone slightly chips and gets a little separated from the ligament. So that is what has happened there in Kelly Oubre's left wrist, which, of course, is his shooting hand. But he might be back for the playoffs.
So Harrison's on Twitter, at HGrahamNFL. He has a burner account, at HGrahamWebMD. He's very good when it comes to medicals, breaking that down perfectly. I thought Oubre was going to be out for the season. I mean, he's got a messed up wrist. There's a small fracture in his hand. Looks as though he's going to be okay, and the Warriors released a statement, Harrison, and it looks as though he's going to try to come back and play through this to try to get the Warriors into the playoffs.
Yeah, it sounds like might miss a week, maybe two, but, you know, they might ramp him up for the playoffs here. Underwent an MRI yesterday, meaning Thursday, I believe now. The MRI reconfirmed previous imaging result of a small avulsion fracture and ligament damage in the wrist with no new injury observed. The injury will not require surgery. That's the key there. Kelly will be reevaluated again late next week. So mid-late next week, we could figure out something. We'll see if he plays in any of the final couple of regular season games for Golden State. But look, as special as Steph is, getting a guy like Oubre back would be a big boost for that play-in tournament and into a 7-game series if they advance.
Yeah, let's not get it twisted. Kelly Oubre Jr. isn't a superstar player. He is a really solid player, though. And he was starting a lot of games prior to him getting hurt. Steve Kerr, once he came back, experimented with bringing Kelly Oubre off the bench. Really liked how he kind of improved that depth unit.
They need depth.
And that second unit was playing a lot better. Now, the raw numbers, they're pretty solid. I mean, around 31 minutes per night, averaging a little more than 15 points per. Rebounds the basketball as well. He's never going to be a guy who creates at an elite clip. But off the bench, I think that really suits him well. And I think the Warriors are experimenting with that because they're like, okay, Klay Thompson's going to come back next year. And let's hope he does, because he's a generational talent, right? One of the best players in the history of the NBA, especially two-way. Maybe Kelly Oubre, if we want to re-sign him because we traded for him, maybe he could be a bench option for us. Makes that team pretty scary. Yeah,
flamethrower off the bench, there's no doubt about it. So hopefully Kelly Oubre is able to return come playoff time, because after a brutal start about the first month of the year, been pretty solid for Golden State overall. He's started some, he's come off the bench, and I think he would give this team a big lift if he can get back for the play-in tournament. Will Kelly Oubre return this season? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I think he's going to give it a try. Get your votes in on this one and be honest in your assessment. I think it's still like 50-50, 60-40, but I'm going to lean my Y for yes. Go ahead and let us know what you guys think. Some Golden State Warriors news here on Chat Sports. Jordan Bell set to return to the Bay. This coming through the pipeline earlier on Friday. And for those of you who don't remember, Jordan Bell spent some time with Golden State, first 2 years of his career.
I mean, he was on those championship teams, and I thought, okay, this is a little young gunner who can be a pretty solid player for the Warriors.
High-energy guy.
Just didn't really develop like maybe we thought he was going to, and it's not like he was a high-round draft pick or anything, a late-round guy coming out of Oregon, but I thought as an athletic flyer, as a rim-running type of player who gives you a little bit of a defensive presence as well as some pick and pops on some lobs as well, he's going to be able to give the Warriors a little bit something. I trust their player development, though. He just didn't develop like they thought he was going to be, and that's why they decided to cut bait. Now they bring him back. Maybe they're seeing something in him, because in 2019 he was at least okay in a small sample size, nothing special at all.
This has been since 2019.
Yeah.
So basically since he's left Golden State, where we saw him flash a little bit. I remember in his rookie season, Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals against the Thunder, I believe. I can't remember which series that was. He made a real difference in advancing to the finals.
No doubt.
Since then, basically hasn't done anything. He's had some injuries. He's been in and out of the league. He's played some of the G League, but Golden State knows him best, so they're willing to bring him back. That being said, personally, it doesn't do much for me. Like, maybe he flashes and you bring him into camp next year and he's a back into the roster type of piece. But if you think this is like, oh, Jordan Bell's the difference, like, I don't think we should get ahead of ourselves here. But certainly notable news that we wanted to relay to you guys. So go ahead and grade it for us. Grade the signing of Jordan Bell, A, B, C, D, or F. I'm at like a don't care. I hate to say it, but like.
How about a C for don't care?
Yes.
I mean, that's solid.
C for don't care. Hey, you got an extra body on the end of your bench.
They had roster spots to fill.
I will say, hey, if you get this Jordan Bell, the one we saw rookie year, 63% from the floor. He was kind of an above the rim type of guy. You see that alley he threw down in the picture there. Like, it'd be fun to kind of hit the restart button on his career because he was an exciting young piece early on, Chase, but we just haven't really seen that since then.
Yeah, no, not at all. And look, I mean, in those Oregon unis, when he was throwing down yams like that, looking real fresh while doing so, looked like a really talented athletic big man, just hasn't translated.
Honestly, I think the cooler part of this news is that Juan Toscano-Anderson, a player that I know you've talked about some on Golden State Warriors today, he gets promoted from the two-way contract to the active 15-man roster, a full guaranteed contract now. Well-deserved for a great find by Golden State, by the way. This guy came out of nowhere.
Yeah, came out of nowhere and went to Marquette, has been a slow-developing player. He's added a lot of culture to the Warriors. He's a great follow on Twitter, has an awesome sense of humor, but also his game has been taken to the next level as well. Steve Kerr has raved about him. I think he's earned himself a payday coming up.
So he gets promoted and Jordan Bell back on a two-way contract. Let's break down the Western Conference playoff picture here on Chat Sports. Harrison Graham and Chase Sr. with you. We'll show you the standings to kick things off. Jazz and Suns, they go back and forth at the top. I believe those will be your top two seeds in one of those order. Clipper Nuggets, those will be 3 through 4. And then it gets a little tight, Chase. You got the Mavericks at 38 and 28. You got the Lakers and Blazers right now evened up at 37 and 29 with LA having the tiebreaker. And then as you look at 8 through 10 there, especially 8 and 9, as you kind of differentiate those play-in type of teams, it gets really tight, especially for a team like Golden State, who's been battling all year long, led by Steph Curry.
If you just can't wait to get to the playoffs and you want a playoff-type atmosphere, I understand LeBron James is going to be out of the lineup tonight. Lakers at Blazers tonight in Portland.
Let's get it.
Lakers have the tiebreaker right now. That could change. Huge game in the West.
Pelicans and Kings still mathematically alive, but they're going to need some help and to win most of their remaining games. Thunder, T-Wolves, Rockets, they are all eliminated. They are tanking for the draft at this point in the season. So you look at the play-in tournament. Here's how we sit right now. So you got the Trailblazers, you got the Warriors, and specifically with Golden State, like, it's been a challenge all year. We kept expecting them to fade away, but they just keep finding ways to win some games, Chase. Steph Curry in a one-game format to make the playoffs, I'm not betting against that guy.
Steph Curry and Dame Lillard in a one-game play-in, absolutely lit. And as we look at the Golden State Warriors and kind of evaluate them right now, 6-4 in their last 10 games. Most likely, Harrison, I'm thinking they're going to be the 8 or 9 seed. And the reason they've been able to float around 500 or a little bit over 500. Steph Curry has just been unbelievable this year. Without him, they would be like a G League level team.
But with
Steph Curry, look, he's not going to win the MVP. He might, in addition to Chris Paul, might be most deserving of MVP because of the elite level that he has played at this year.
And the way I kind of look at it, and by the way, I totally agree, Warriors-Lakers, which is not out of the question for the play-in, would be unbelievable. But more on Curry as well is, I mean, I look at MVP. How many games would your team win without this guy? I mean,
yeah, I'm with you.
I don't know how many, but I'm excited about the potential of this play-in matchup between Steph Curry and LeBron James.
Yeah, just imagine if LeBron James is back healthy, AD is all good with the back and the ankle injury. A play-in game between the Warriors and the Lakers would be electric.
Oh, no
It'd be great for the NBA. It'd be great for fans. It'd be great for people like you and I to be able to do a watch party on our Chat Sports channel, but also to watch it because LeBron, Steph going back and forth, not only in that play-in game, but you think about the history between these two teams with those Cavs and Warriors finals matchups.
No doubt.
I'm all for a matchup like that. I think it'd be epic.
So answer this question for us. Will the Warriors get one of the final 2 playoff spots? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Get your votes in on this one. Will Golden State be one of the top 8 seeds after the play-in tournament? Subscribe to us here at Chat Sports. It's youtube.com/ChatSportsTV. Our NBA coverage is starting to ramp back up now that the NFL draft is back in the books. Live shows every Friday. You'll see Chase, myself, sometimes both of us like you have today. And plus, with the playoffs almost here, some watch parties on deck, so stay tuned for those. If you want the latest NBA news, rumors, trades, free agency, offseason, playoffs, this is your place, youtube.com/chatsportstv. We take a look here, Chase, at the Western Conference playoff bracket, and we kind of showed you guys the play-in aspect of this. What really stands out here? I think Denver, Dallas, for a couple of reasons. A, Denver keeps winning without Murray. Can that continue into the playoffs? And B, we saw last night Dallas beat a Brooklyn team without Kristaps Porzingis. They're 7-3 in their last 10 games, but those 3 losses all to Sacramento. Which Dallas team's going to show up in the playoffs? What stands out to you in that bracket?
It's that, because we're not sure which Dallas Mavericks team we're going to get. Also,
all LA.
It's the Jazz being able to survive and stay afloat without Donovan Mitchell, but the Denver Nuggets doing the same without Jamal Murray. And how about the Phoenix Suns? Like, the Jazz, the Suns, and the Nuggets, when everybody kind of thought either prior to the season or during the season, they're fake, they're phonies, they've been able to play really good basketball and sustain that all season. That's what stands out to me in addition to the Mavericks.
Let's talk about the Jazz here, because they've been able to be really the number 1 seed since about the 1-month mark of the regular season.
Exactly right.
They got hot early in the year, and they really haven't given it up. And we were breaking down the Donovan Mitchell injury a few weeks ago, and we were like, oh, hopefully it's not too bad. Well, he hasn't played since then, and they're still the number 1 seed.
Yeah, and there's no status as to when Donovan Mitchell is going to come back. Nope. So for me, Utah's success all hinges on D-Mitch, who's turned into one of the most lethal young scorers across the NBA. If they do get the number 1 seed, who knows what the fan situation is? I think Utah, the state, a little bit more lenient than other states. Not much of a surprise there. They're 29-4 at home.
Whew,
so if they get that number 1 seed, that's something to keep an eye out for. My big concern with the Utah Jazz, they're going to be able to get past the heavyweights in the West, because there are some big heavyweights.
And another one is Phoenix, right?
Yep.
I mean, sure, smaller market, but I think the Chris Paul factor here is, like, I view them as like a Lakers in the Western Conference this year, because you've got CP3. Devin Booker's probably better suited as a number 2 at this point in his career. Ayton continues to develop. Bridges is a nice piece. This is a nice roster, and they found the right coach in Monty Williams, in my opinion. I may like the Phoenix Suns better than Utah come playoff time.
You saw this greatness blossoming in the NBA bubble last year when they went a perfect 8-0 and really took the league by storm. Didn't make the playoffs, but generated some conversation. I think Phoenix has it all, and this is my take real quick on the Chris Paul effect. And I'm going to continue to hammer down on this. I mean, he's done for the Phoenix Suns what Tom Brady has done for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Has completely changed the culture, and you see that in the eyes and the competition level and the confidence of the Suns.
So Phoenix and Utah, not teams that we would be normally accustomed to making deep playoff runs, but hey, it's 2021. Things are weird. Type 1 for yes, type 2 for no. Can one of these smaller market teams make the finals? I think we're in agreement. They absolutely can. Will they? That's the question that we can't wait to find out. So go ahead and get your votes in. So you look closer at some of these other matchups. Again, the Jazz will play one of those play-in teams, combination of Golden State, Memphis, Portland, or LA. If one of those teams fall into that situation, we'll have to wait and see. We mentioned Denver, Dallas. I think that could be a 6-7 game banger in the playoffs. We'll have to wait and see. And then obviously the All-LA matchup, right? We'll spend a couple moments here on the Lakers and the Clippers. As things sit right now, this would be the 3-versus-6 matchup. This is very interesting because coming into the year, you would say this is your conference finals. They might play in the first round due to injuries with the Lakers.
Yeah, there are playoff demons flying in the rafters of the Staples Center for the Los Angeles Clippers. Not for the Lakers. They won the ship last year. They have 17 titles as a franchise. But the Clippers just haven't been able to get over the hump.
Nope.
And last year, it was a really ugly out in the NBA playoffs. They were up 3-1 in that series, and they couldn't close the deal. So that mentality, those memories, do they continue to haunt the Clippers against the team that's had their numbers and owns Los Angeles? Possibly. I don't think LeBron, can you imagine LeBron James going out in the first round of a playoff series?
It'd be weird.
Yeah.
It'd be very, very weird. So get your votes in come playoff time. Who is the better LA team? Type LAL for the Lakers or type LAC for the Clippers. We'll get some shout-outs on this one here. Let's go ahead and see what we're going with here. LAL for the Lakers, LAC for the Clippers here as some of these come in. Battle of LA. By the way, Yasmin says 1 for yes. Those two teams can go to the title. HBCU Spotlight says Lakers. Nola says Clippers. Bailey says Clippers. Lakers from Drum. A couple more here. Corey says Clippers. Get your votes in. LA Clippers or LA Lakers. Alejandro says Lakers. Isaiah says Clippers. Marquise says Lakers. Trox says Clippers. Continue to get your votes in on this one.